All right, everyone. So I saw one of the videos from another YouTuber saying that he liked the profiles, the color profiles better from Capture One. I also use Capture One. I love using Capture One, but I haven't really been able to use it because just the color just didn't please me. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. So I kind of was using back and forth between Capture One and Iridient Developer. After looking at his video and looking at the noise that some of the when he took a photo at 3200 ISO with the GFX, and he was kind of comparing it with just the passport, the checker. I was just like, man, you know what? It looks much better on Capture One and the raw files when you convert it. But I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go take a look. I'm gonna go back and take a look at the files. But I'm not doing the passport, the color checker. I'm doing actual photos. So I did a photo shoot this morning with my wife, and basically converted some of the files, and some of them I left them with just raw and open them in Iridient. So my process is this: I use Photo Mechanic, as you see right here. I just import them, put information, and select my favorites, and that's done. Once I did that, I go ahead and I use Adobe DNG, the general converter, so you can see the session right here. I have it done where to put them and everything. So I separated the raw files. Nothing else is changed, and everything converted to DNG, and that was that. I converted the DNG so that I'm able to actually see them on Capture One, since Capture One doesn't support this the GFX raw files or RAF. Once I'm done with the DNG conversion, then I bring it over to EXIF editor. This one basically changes the camera name from the GFX to the phase 1 IQ 250. And now the reason why I use the IQ is because somebody else on the website, and I can't remember, did another comparison, and he did all the hard work. He compared every single profile, and basically once I saw something that I liked from the file, from all the profiles that he used, I picked the IQ 250. That way when Capture One opens them, it actually gives it that color profile, and I liked it better than the GFX that somebody created, which is also amazing, but I like the IQ 250 profile better. So once I converted the EXIF editor, then I can actually open my files on Capture One, and as you can see right here, this is the GFX and then basically DNG file. And now you can tell right away, and once I open my files on Iridient Developer, nothing has changed. This is basically straight out of the camera. No color. I did a little drop color correction, and I dropped the file, the drop like right here, just something neutral, and I dropped it on both. And as you can see, if I go to the setting, nothing has been done. No color correction. This one reset as 4600, so keep that in mind, 4600K, and nothing else has been done. No sharpening has been done. When you import the files, Iridient Developer kind of does it automatically. I usually bump it up to after 1. This is 0.5, but basically no changes has been done with this. Once you do the changes on it, it puts like a little star, like this one right here, as soon as you make a little changes. And I make some settings here to try it a little while ago, to try to kind of bring it back to this other one. And the reason kind of I'm using this image right now, I'm gonna go back and kind of show you that no changes has been done. As you can see, everything's still the same. Basically sharpening is point at 0.5, so you see the little red dot, it means that there's a change. So 0.5, 150 HD details, this is pretty much all standard. Color correction 46, 42. This one is at 17 because I haven't done the actual drop, the drop right here, and that's basically the change that it did. And that's basically what everything that has done. It actually brought it the tint lower. It was a 17, and it brought it to it was a 25, and a 45,000, but now that it did the droplet, it changed it to lower, 4600 and plus 7. So this is pretty much what I did. Everything else has been pretty much left the same. Again, no exposure correction or anything. So now that I told you that nothing has been done, it's the same thing right over here with this one. Nothing has been done. Everything is on blank. No sharpening, no nothing. Sharpening is usually about, I guess that's the standard. And I don't know if you can tell, but right away, as soon as I see the file, I can tell right away. Again, the same thing. I did the drop and pretty much selected this area, and that's all that's been done. But as you can see right here, as soon as I did the droplet, can you tell the difference of how warm the Capture One image looks? Look at their faces. And then if you can compare it to the Iridient Developer, it's such a big difference. It's just incredible. And if you can tell on this one, the temperature, we have it at 3881. This is shot with flash, and we're using reflectors to bounce the light back to them. And you can tell right away the tint is even -3 and at 3800, and this one has it at 4600. Now, if I even try to go back to that 3881, look at that, it's just terrible. So again, they handle the files differently, which is fine. But you will think that because it's the exact same file, nothing has been done to the file. I just converted it to DNG, change it to the face, which is not the right color profile, but as you can tell right there, we're already dealing with something completely different. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, let's see if I can kind of get it back to the same color to it, you know, give it the exact same tint or whatever. And I have to bring down the color lower, even as much lower. But you can see this one right here, it seems like the highlights are basically very blown or very overexposed, which is a little weird, you know. Again, I know we're working with converted files, but I would think it wouldn't make so much of a difference even with the highlights. But you can tell right away this one's the one on the right, Capture One, is way overblown, has more color, more tint. It's just a little weird. But to my eye, on Iridient Developer, it looks more natural. On Capture One, it looks like the image is blurry. The first time I did this, I was like, even though I'm shooting handheld, which is, I guess, not really recommended, but you have to be able to have like a steady hand to be able to shoot handheld with the GFX, you know. In a way, you kind of have to know what you're doing. I'm not an expert, but just takes practice. But can you tell that the Capture One is actually a little bit kind of blurry? I'm all exaggerating. You will say like, okay, that's not blurry, what are you talking about? But if you zoom out, because not a lot of people are gonna do that, you see right here that it's kind of blurry. Once I zoom in, you can tell there's some sharpening. There's no sharpening done, but you can tell that it's sharp now. But if we go back out, I guess because it's so overexposed that maybe it's creating kind of like a blurriness. And if we go to Iridient Developer, right away from this far out, comparing it from one to another, I can tell right away not only the skin tones are basically what they normally are. This is basically how the person looks. The same thing with the baby. The baby was a little jaundiced, so it's a little yellow, a little bit of red, but on the right it looks kind of almost like oversaturated, both, you know, the image, and a little blurry. But again, once you zoom in, it's a different story. But let's go ahead and zoom in with this one right here. And basically what I'm looking at is the eyelashes, and right now I'm at 50%. Let's do the same thing with this one. I'm zooming in with the hand. There you go. I guess I have to really zoom in order for me to tell the difference. Now, Capture One now looks sharper compared to this other one. I think this is give me Capture One. I don't play too much the percentage. It's a 64% basically, and that one's a 66. Oh, so there you go. So we're almost about the same. So now when we look at it this way, Capture One actually looks a little bit sharper from what I'm looking at right now. From far away, Iridient Developer looks sharper. When I zoom in, Capture One looks sharper, which is really odd. So I'm using my my NEC multi-sync NEC monitor PA, what is it, 272W. This is an Adobe 98% of Adobe RGB color space. So my monitor is calibrated. This little square right here is telling me that I have to recalibrate it. I do it pretty much on a weekly or a couple of weeks, you know, basis. But you can tell right away on skin tones from right here, everything, how the big difference between both. This one to me looks a little bit already saturated and everything because of the conversion that I did. Like I said, I know it's not perfect, but because the possibilities and the program, you know, just what it gives you, I love Capture One more than Iridient. But when I'm working with raw files, I want to be able to work with natural, the cleanest, the unsaturated. I want to be able to give the saturation that I want, whether I want a little bit warmer or so on. But you might think like, you know what, but I really like the colors right here already in the lips, the colors of the eyeshadow, they look more natural once I zoom in. But I have to be able to zoom in more just to be able to see the difference. So now let's take a look at the baby right here. Again, Capture One just looks saturated, like if I bump the saturation for a couple of points, and I really do not like that. Maybe I can control that by bringing down the saturation manually. Something like that maybe. I'm using the face right here because I kind of liked, because we have different type of colors, a little bit of shading on the lips and everything. Maybe this one looks a little bit better, but then again I'm dropping 14 points on saturation just to kind of be able to see something that is pleasant to my eye. Like I said, not an expert, but once you start working and editing constantly and you calibrate your monitor and you start training your eye to what you see is what you want to be able to replicate, then you start seeing and you start preferring some files over others and so on. The sharpness and everything. The weird part that right now what I'm discovering, just like I'm showing you, is that Capture One, the Capture One file, it's sharper once I zoom in than the from Iridient Developer, which is baffling. I'm having a hard time trying to really wrap that around my head, because you actually are seeing it too, that once I zoom in or zoom out, right here it looks blurry. I have no idea why. This file from Iridient at this level, we're looking around the sharpness right here on the eyebrows. This one looks kind of a little blurry, and again this one where is this one in? Doesn't really give me the percentage in this one, but it doesn't matter. I know I have it around the same. But can you see that? I don't know if you guys can see that on your screen. I'm gonna try to have this as high resolution as possible so that you can tell the difference. This looks sharp right here on the eyelashes. This looks blurry. I'm gonna edit the files. I'm gonna export them. This one will be a PSD file. This one will be a TIFF file. I'm gonna make the changes to how I like it. You know, a little bit of saturation, contrast, and so on. And I'm gonna try to do my edits on this one. I'm not gonna try to match the Capture One to Iridient. I'm gonna just work with this image and edit the way I will like it let's say if I only had the option of this, the capture one file, how I would like it, what I would need to do, you know, recover some of the highlights. Yes, I do want it to be able to still kind of blown out, to blend all of this, which I'll work with it and everything. But I can't get over the fact that once I zoom in, the file becomes sharper, which is so odd, without even including any sharpening. Because what I have done in the past is that I will have to be like, man, it's blurry, why is it blurry? And I just crank up the sharpening on the file. And I talked to some other people with the same, that they use also Capture One converted files from the GFX, and they're like, yeah, you're just gonna have to sharpen it. I found myself over sharpening on it, and once I sharpen it, I'm like, yeah, okay, that looks much better. But you can tell right there that it's definitely a little too sharp now once I zoom in. Again, this is not the ideal, but I just cannot get over the fact that the Capture One gets sharper once I zoom in. I might even have to do a print on both files, a little test, because I have a really decent printer, a Canon IPF 6400. So I'm gonna do a print on an 8x10, on a 16x20, and a 20x30, and I might even post the results from this, because again, I'm doing this test because of somebody, the comparison that he did, the noise that he was able to see from one file to another and everything. Again, he was shooting ISO 3200, I'm shooting the ISO 100 at f8 63, again, same file. So, oh man, that's so weird. But can you see the baby's face right here, how he becomes just like a blend? I know the baby was a little jaundice. Jaundice is when you basically you need a little bit of like vitamin D, you need some sunlight, so you need to basically get your baby, expose them to the sun, or they're pretty much in the hospital, they put them under some lamps, but whatever. Again, the one on the left, from what I've seen him, when you get him to the light, this is what he looks like. He looks oversaturated, over exaggerated a little bit. She might look fine, you know, this is maybe what you will like on a girl, exaggeration, you know, pop the lips, and I want to be able to do that myself, but I'm already starting with a file that is already kind of retouched. This is kind of basically working with like C-Log video cameras, and then you kind of work from there, you know. But to me, again, this one looks more natural, because I know I saw the person. I know this is her skin tone. I know this is kind of her hand colors and everything. You know, we're kind of like a yellowish and the green and everything. Not so much, but this one looks, the one on the right looks more of a almost final product edited. This one just looks like a cleaner file, which is kind of weird and odd. Again, if you see, kind of jumping back and forth, I know, but just wanted to kind of show you the difference between the files, because he compared it with the passport checker. I'm comparing it to basically an actual photo shoot. No contrast, no nothing. So here's what using the profiles, ICC profiles. Like I said, I use the phase one, and this I change it to the flash, and of course you can always go back here and change it. So the 250 is right here. And the thing I selected before was portrait. Between portrait, you'll see just a little bit of difference between one another. Art reproduction, you know, flash. You can kind of select between one or the other. This one a little looks more yellowish. So I think this one, the flash art reproduction, I think looks more pleasant. I have selected portraiture from the web article that I see from somebody, you know. But even the tungsten, you can see just the color on the skin tones. This one looks a little more saturated. This one's a little more flat. Outdoor daylight, and the flash almost the same. Kind of like this one gives me a little bit more contrast. I can see it on the hair. The contrast and the recovery and the cast, I can always remove it in Photoshop. But you know, this is kind of what I work with, and I can from here I can select that. So you're seeing basically what I will do. But if we go back to the Fujifilm, the neutral one, if we select it and apply it again, you're basically seeing what I'm seeing, almost the exact same thing as the other one. Colors already, saturation applied. The baby looks even more jaundiced, more yellow, you know, looks like the saturation. And in this file, I think I already have -14 on saturation. So if I bring it down to 0, can you see what I'm seeing? This is basically how you will get the file once you import it. And that's with the Fujifilm neutral. And that's not neutral. Can you see that? The baby looks way too saturated. He is jaundiced, he's supposed to be yellow and everything, but this is just way too much. Again, the same thing with her lipstick color and the shadow right here. It looks like somebody already bumped it, the saturation and everything. I cannot see a raw file just like that. It almost looks like a JPEG, you know. When you take a JPEG, it looks like already nice. That's, people will say like, oh, that's pretty much almost like how I will actually edit it. But no, I can't. I cannot just go and select that. Again, you can go from here and select the files. Again, let's see the camera RGB profile. Let's remove the. Oh, this one's already reset. Okay. You can definitely try different profiles here and select kind of like the one that you will like. This one's not that bad. Again, still saturated. I can tell right away by her eye, the eyeshadow compared to this. You see the between one and another. For me, unfortunately, when the guy did the test, I kind of settled for the face one. I think they were saying, sorry about the ambulances, if you can hear that. No, the ambulance is cops. 1, 2, 3. Cops just passed by, of course. Sorry about that. So flash, art reproduction, just use flash, outdoor daylight, portrait, and tungsten. Kind of like in the art reproduction, but oh man, hard decisions. But you can tell, you can see that how basically if I wanted to work with Capture One, kind of what I will have to do. I have done this conversion, and depending on the photo shoot that we do, and if I bring the files between one program and another, sometimes I do like how some files look on Capture One because of the look that I'm going for. And if I try to replicate that on just the raw edits on the Iridient Developer, I can't, and vice versa. I can never replicate, I can never get close to one look over the other. But then again, it all comes down to what I'm looking for. In this case, I want a more of a natural look, and this is kind of what I will select right here on the Iridient Developer on this photo shoot. On this one, again, already saturated. Talk to my wife, she likes how white this looks without having to done anything. But then again, I can always, this already looks white, neutral white. I don't know, this one kind of looks a little bit more blue, and this one of course looks a little bit yellow, but I can always work with it and everything. But I know I'm rambling, I'm going on and on, but I just wanted to give you my opinion and kind of going back and for how some files, I guess he was saying that they look much better on the specific conversion. And this is unfortunately owners of the GFX have to go through just to kind of be able to work with the files first in RAW. We already kind of have our preferences, you know. There was no way I'm gonna touch Lightroom. There's just no way in hell. I guess once I used to use Lightroom, there's nothing wrong with the program, but I started using Capture One, and I saw the possibilities, how it's an industry standard and everything, and then I start seeing professionals kind of use it, and then I saw, that's why. when you start seeing it in action and why they will use it, then it clicks. Then you force yourself to learn it, and you'll be able to reproduce. And that's why I still cannot let go of Capture One. I still want to use it with my camera, the GFX. But then again, I just cannot oversee this, you know. I cannot oversee these files, you know. I cannot oversee the difference. But yeah, I'll experiment a little bit more. I'll make some videos about the prints. I'll make a video about the final edit. I'll do a recording again. I usually work with the file and bring it to my liking, make changes depending on that. If I was to work with this file, make the specific changes. Or if I was working with the Capture One file, I'll make changes depending on what I see. You know, I usually have already a vision. Once I'm taking the photo, I can see this is what it's gonna look, colors and so on, you know. Edit it and so on. I'll remove the color cast from both, see how they look, and I guess in the future, if I have some time, I'll bring it up to you guys and see what you guys think. If you have any ideas, if you have created your videos, if you have GFX and creating videos like that, hopefully this comparison can help you out. If you prefer, for you and your eyes and your edit, and you like the Capture One, there's nothing wrong with it, you know. But it's just, this is kind of what I like and what I like to start with, like the base. And yeah, tell me what you think. Show me your work, and show me your results, and that way we can kind of compare back and forth until Capture One starts giving us some support. You know, start being afraid of the GFX knocking down their $50,000 camera. But whatever, man.